Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, and today we're taking a look at the Carrack. We'll do the Reclaimer tomorrow, but the Carrack, of course, is the exploration ship, and it very much, just like its namesake, it invokes the old romantic imagery of ships going out into the unknown, exploring, not knowing what they would find, what riches or what disasters would befall them. And much like its namesake, the Carrack is that ship as well. Now, the Carrack in Star Citizen is, it was a ship designed by Carrack. It was probably, I think, his most well-received design, and an excellent ship, excellent potential. It should be in production right about now, but I would have to go back and confirm that and go back to the old schedule. But as far as I know, it should be in production, but this is a ship that has dropped on and off the production schedule a few times, so I don't want to say for sure that it is. But what value would it have as, let's say, a pirate ship? Now, for the uninitiated, space is big. Like, really, 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 really fucking huge, okay? Now, the actual usable in-game space that we get to play in is much smaller than that because it has to be usable. It can't be, okay, well, I'm going to set my quantum drive and I'm going to go from Earth to Jupiter. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to go down the street and eat a pizza and, gas up the car and get it washed and then come back and I'll still have 5 minutes to go. So the game still has to be useful, but within that space, there is a large volume of places where things can be hiding. So having a strong sensor platform is pretty crucial, not just for pirates, but for everybody. You don't know what's around the corner, what's lurking around the next asteroid or hiding behind the next moon. And when you start to think even of like moons, like you're talking about moons that are thousands of miles or kilometers in diameter that could take you over a day to circumnavigate on a dragonfly. I mean, you're just talking about huge spaces where there can be so many things. So having a ship that naturally can find those things is pretty important. Whether they be threats or, possible riches that you might be hunting for. Having a ship that can go out and find those things, I mean, it's almost indispensable. Now, there are plenty of platforms out there, of course, but none of them really have the size and reach of the Carrack while still maintaining a somewhat military presence in the game. The Carrack being basically a military vessel, though not, I would say, a frontline combat vessel, more of a support ship, but still a combat-oriented vessel. And that's something that's important because when you go out there into deep space, into the unexplored and unclaimed systems, chances are you're probably going to want to be able to defend yourself or possibly attack your target if that's what you're hunting for. Now, beyond that, having basically a military vessel that collects so much information through its sensors, even if it doesn't in effect have the standard facilities of, say, a combat information center, it can still act as a combat controller for a large fleet, because once you can acquire that information, you can look at it, you can say, okay, there's something over here, so I'm going to send 3 fighters over this way, but then I see something else over here, so I'm going to hold back 3 fighters to protect me just in case that becomes a threat. So at the very basic level, you can use this ship to coordinate the movements of a much larger fleet, gather information, and disseminate it where it needs to be given. I mean, just having all these pieces here, a military platform, the ability to gather large amounts of information, then disseminate it and use it, all of that in one package makes it a very, very strong ship. And it's somewhat surprising that it has taken as long as it has to actually put this ship into production, because as space opens up and as the game opens up, this is going to be a very critical vessel. As we look at the star map here, the reason why the Carrack is so important is the things that, not just what's on the star map, but what isn't on the star map, because the Carrack can also find jump routes between systems that aren't on the map yet, that aren't discovered. And as well, there are also supposed to be star systems that are uncharted that could appear on this map that the Carrack could find. Now, having access to, say, different routes that other people don't have access to, or having access to systems that other people don't even know are there, I mean, that can be a tremendous tactical advantage. I mean, even in a commercial sense, if you know a shortcut between two systems, you can shorten your travel time. You can use less fuel. You can trade at a much faster rate if you can get between destinations quicker. So, I mean, even beyond, say, the piratical uses of this ship, just for the everyday user, this is a really strong ship. On top of it all, this ship can land on planets and deploy rovers, so you can probably deploy a few troops from this ship as well once you land it on the ground, and deploy vehicles as well for them to travel around with. So the usability and the potential of the ship, I mean, it really is, it's like quite astounding that all of this is in just one platform. It's a pretty damn good ship in the Star Citizen universe. The only reason I have never owned one, truthfully, is the start-stop nature of its development. And I've always kind of sat there and looked at it, well, you know, they keep pulling back from it. They keep saying, oh, we're putting it into production, and then they keep pulling the date back. And so to me, that tells me that it's not that high on their priority list right now. So I've always kind of looked at it and said, that's a really great ship, but there's some of those functions that I can get in another platform, which we'll talk about in another show, and some other things that you can't do with this ship, like salvage, which is, you know, in the end, the main reason why I don't own it. So in the end, when you're looking at the Carrack and you're saying, would it be a good pirate ship? The answer is, I think, yeah. Now, does it have the firepower to, say, tussle with a Polaris or an Idris or a Javelin? No, it doesn't. Could it fight smaller ships? Yeah, probably. Quite easily, it could handle those ships. But one of the important things about this ship is that added ability, those sensors. It lets you know what you're getting into. I mean, half the fight is knowing what you're getting into and how you're going to handle the various problems that are out there. You know, oh, there's one of these ships. Oh, there's one of those ships. How do we handle this? How do we handle that? If you know it's out there, you can come up with a plan, and that, you know, that improves your chance at success. Knowing where your enemies are before they know where you are is a pretty important thing. And so a ship like the Carrack is built around that. So, in a way, the Carrack can't win every fight out there, but more importantly, it can choose its battles. And I think that's the important thing, knowing what it can and can't handle and being able to choose its fights. And, you know, having that knowledge, having that foresight, having that information is so critical. It really is. So, is it a direct combat ship? No. Is it like a frontline fighter? No. But used selectively in certain situations, yeah, it can be. And it definitely, I mean, where knowledge is power, this is a ship that is going to grant you a lot of that power. So I have to say it's a very strong contender, not just for a pirate, but for any fleet out there. This is a really, really nice ship. So with that in mind, that is my opinion and my thoughts on the Carrack overall. Hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.